Yo, what's up guys, back for another video for you for Dano, man. And today guys, for the new video on the channel, we are going to be doing the best cars in 4F Mania. Now, I did do a video on the best cars in 4F Mania quite a while ago, about 3 years ago. No, hang on. My channel wasn't even up for 3 years. I've been doing it, I haven't done it for like, what, probably around almost 2 years, I reckon. But today we're going to be doing a new tier list where we're actually going to take into consideration a lot of things. This video did take a while because I did have to buy every single car in the game and have to test it out and stuff and get footage for all of them. So if you do end up liking this video, please do like the video, and I'm hoping we get to a lot of likes on this video. I don't know, maybe if we get like 20 likes, I will do a new one in the future and I'll do more 4x4 Mania content. But yeah guys, so without further ado guys, let's head into the video with the first car, the Warrior. Now the Warrior, the first car in the game, I'm going to be putting this as an A tier.
Now the reason why I'm putting the Crawler in the A tier is because this thing can do anything. It can crawl, it can race. It's an absolutely great car. Now another reason why I'm putting it here is because this is the best crawler for its type. It's a small crawler that can do all the different types of heavy stuff that any other car can do, like for example the Sentinel or the DVNS. This thing is just crazy good guys, and this is why the Warrior is in the A tier.
Now the next car on the list is the Taz, and I'm going to be putting this in the C tier.
Now the reason why the Taz falls under the C tier is because it's in the same category as the Warrior, the small crawler category, and it's simply just not as good as the Warrior. It can't race like the Warrior can, it can't crawl like it can. It can't do as heavy crawling, and sadly that's the major flaw of this car, and that's why it falls under the C tier on this list.
And the next car on the list is the Hopper, and I'm going to be putting this in the C tier.
Pretty much the exact same to the Taz. The Hopper is also a small crawler. It can do a bit heavier stuff than the Taz, but still sadly does fall under that category of small crawler, and it can't beat the Warrior. So this is why it falls into the C tier as well.
Next car is the Deputy, and I'll be putting the Deputy in the B tier.
Now the reason why the Warrior is in the B tier is because of the simple fact it's a great all-rounder. It can race, it can derby, it can crawl. You can tune it to pretty much anything, and it's a great starting car. It is the best starting car you can buy when you start the game. This is why it's so good.
Now the next car is the Scout, and I'll be putting this at the top of the C tier.
Now don't get me wrong, the Scout is a bit better than the Taz and the Hopper, but it still falls under the same category that it's just simply not as good as the Warrior. The Warrior is the best small crawler, as I've said previously twice, and that's why it falls under the C tier as well, just like the Taz.
Now the next car is the 250. I'm gonna be putting this into the A tier.
Unlucky that this car doesn't make it into the S tier but the 250 is such a great car to have. It's so fast, it can do derby, it can do racing, but the only reason why it's in this tier is because it can't do crawling. It can't simply just do one thing in all-rounding.
The next car is the Shiga, and we're going to be putting this into the D tier.
Pretty self-explanatory, the Shiga is just not good. It can't really be built for anything really. It's not that fast for racing, doesn't have good acceleration. Its handling's okay, it's only really built to be a derby car, and yeah, it's still not as good as the Hauler, which is basically the six-wheel counterpart of the Shiga.
The next car is the Yota, and we're putting this into the B tier.
The Yota, like the Deputy, stays in the B tier as well. This is a great speedy racer to have in your convoy. But the only reason why it's staying here is because it can't do crawling that well. Just like here, it can't do crawling, and it also can't be really a good derby car. This is why it falls under the B tier.
Now the next car is the full-size 5. I'm going to be putting this in the S tier, the first car to get there in the video.
Oh my days, what a good car. The full-size 5, the OG GOAT of the game. This thing couldn't be stopped when it was in its prime, before the E-Hum was released, before the Crawley was released. This car's great. It can literally do anything and has tons of pre-builds for it, so yeah.
The next car is the Roma. I'm going to be putting that in the B tier.
The Roma is very similar to the Deputy, that it's an all-rounder. This thing can do pretty much anything the Deputy can, but this thing is just a little bit better at crawling than the Deputy, and my personal preference over the Deputy, I love this car so much, it's so cool. But yeah, this car's great. It can do pretty much all rounding that you put it against when you max it out, and that's why it stays here in the B tier.
The next car, the Hauler, I'm going to be putting this in the C tier.
Now guys, you may be thinking, why Dano man? Just why did you put the Shiga lower than the Hauler? Now there's a good reason for this. The Hauler is just better. It's better at derbying, which kind of is what it's built for. It can't really do racing, it's not built for crawling, nor is the Shiga. And I'd like to see the comments what you guys think, Hauler or Shiga.
Now the next car is the Nomad. I'm going to put in the Nomad in the B tier.
All the B tier cars can all round, but they're just not the top cars, just like the Nomad. The Nomad is a great car. I've got one maxed and it's an absolute beast, but there are just simply the fact that there are cars that are just better than it, just like the Deputy and all the other all-rounders that end up in the B tier. But this thing's great. It can't do derbying, but it can do crawling and racing, but it doesn't have the best handling, so that's why it's there.
Now the next car is the Ventura. I'm going to put in the Ventura in the A tier.
Now the Ventura, probably one of the best all-rounders in the game, or racers, that's actually cheap. The Ventura is absolutely great. In my opinion, this car has the best handling in the whole game. And you can tune this to be one of the best racers. It's so good, so this is why it's in the A tier.
Now the next car is the Mammoth. I'm going to put in the Mammoth in the B tier.
Now if we were to film this video a few years back, this would be one of the best cars in the game. Only because the Hummer EV's in the game, this car isn't as good. Because pretty much everything this can do, the Hummer EV can do, and it does it better. So sadly, this is why it stays in the B tier, just below all the other cars.
Now the next car is the Beach Roach. I'm going to put in this in the bottom of the B tier.
Now, I know all of you are going to be fuming in the comments that the Beach Roach isn't that good, but it just isn't. Pretty much every car that's like this, a speedy racer that can't do derbying, and you can't really tune it to crawling, but you could if you wanted to. All those kind of cars just generally aren't good. So this is why the Beach Roach isn't as good. It used to be really good, but now it's just getting outshined.
Now the next car is the Domination. I'm going to put in the Domination in the top of the A tier.
Just not making it into the S tier, the Domination is an absolutely excellent car to have. I don't know how I don't have one of these maxed, but the Domination is such a good car. It can be tuned to racing. If you really want to, it can be tuned to crawling, and it's also a good derby car. It's just one of those all-rounders that can pretty much do anything. It just doesn't make it into the S tier because it's just not the greatest of those all-rounders, just like the full-size 5.
Now the next car is the Tank, and I can't remember the name of it right now, but I'm going to be putting this in the D tier.
Ah yes, the Tank, the early game derby killer. This car's just not good, I'm gonna be honest. It's slow, doesn't have a turning circle, and it can't do derby, even though people say it can do derby. Just because it's big, it can't do derby. It does things like this. That is why it's in the D tier.
Now the next car is the Labourer. I'm going to put in the Labourer in the S tier.
Oh, the Labourer. What an excellent card. It's probably a little bit better than the full-size 5 just because it's a better all-rounder for the things it can do. It can't do derby, but it's great at racing and crawling. Probably better at crawling than the full-size 5. This car is like one of my mains. It's so good. It's just so good. There's nothing it can't do. It's probably one of the best crate cars in the game. And also, stay tuned, I might do a crate car video.
Now, moving on to the Edge, where the Edge places in the bottom of the D tier, the worst car in the game.
Sadly, this video forced me to buy every car in the game, and one of them was the Edge. I hate this car with a passion. It's just terrible. I don't know why people actually buy this car. I don't know why it's in the game. It's one of those cars that just should be removed. It's just... people think it can do racing, it just gets bullied. It just gets bullied in general.
The next car is the Foreman, and the Foreman also places up in the S tier.
When this car was released, oh boy, it was good. I don't know how I don't have one maxed. I've had 7 different Foremans maxed, but I just end up selling them because I just have better all-rounders than them. The Foreman is such a good car. It's one of the best heavy off-roaders there is in the game, and it can't really be stopped. It has so many pre-builds. It's just a great car.
Now, the one and only, the Hummer EV, this places in the S tier.
Now, probably the best car in the game, the Hummer EV. Can't really be stopped in anything apart from crawling. It's a great derby car, great mission car. You can do off-roading with it. It's literally the best car in the game. It's worth every penny that you spend. It's super fast. It might not be the fastest car in the game, but it's so good, guys. I don't know why you don't get it. It basically broke the game when it was released. That's how good it is.
And now, the next car is the Cricket, and the Cricket places in the B tier.
Now, I was going to place the Cricket lower because I don't like the car, but I had to put it in the B tier at least because it is actually quite a quick car, and it can actually do crawling. It's not necessarily the best racer because, basically, if you have opponents that have bigger cars, you'll just get bullied around. So this is why it stays in the B tier, probably in the higher end of the B tier, because it's actually still a pretty good car.
Now, the next car is the Steed, and the Steed places in the bottom of the S tier.
Now, the key reason the Steed is just in the bottom of the S tier is because, well, I don't see any pre-builds to do with off-roading Steeds. Now, it has the fastest car one of the fastest cars in the game, Hot Rod. But yeah, the only reason why it's in the bottom of the S tier is because it doesn't have many off-roader pre-types.
This will be a bit controversial for all you folks out there, but the G8K is in the A tier.
Now, the only reason I say it's controversial is because you probably think I'm going to put it in the S tier just because it's a big ute. I'm not exactly that person. The only reason why I actually didn't put it in S tier is because it's a big ute. Because the Foreman's literally is pretty much the exact same to the G8K, just better. Now, if they release more G8K pre-builds, I'll move it up into the S tier when I do the next video on the tier list. Now, it's a really fast car in the game. It's so cool looking as well. I love this car, but that's the only reason why it's there.
Now, with very limited time of actually looking how good the Sentinel is, I'm going to put in the Sentinel in the bottom of the A tier.
Now, me personally, it's one of my favourite cars in the game. I love the Sentinel. It's actually such a good car. It can do pretty much anything. Just the only reason I'm putting it in the bottom of the A tier is because we haven't really seen too much of the Sentinel. We only have a few pre-builds, like 2 pre-builds of it. Actually, 3 pre-builds. And yeah, I'd put it in the S tier, but I'm gonna wait a little bit to see what happens with this car.
Now, the next car is the LTV. I'm putting this in the bottom of the C tier.
Now, I know there are a lot of players that flex about having the LTV. It's so cool and all, it can drive on water, but there's another car that can drive on water, and that's the Monster Truck. Now, this car can drive a lot faster on water than the Monster Truck, but I still just don't like this car. It's just not good. Has literally no suspension upgrade. It can't do off-roading. The only thing it's built for is the swamp or the desert. Even then, I still just don't like the car.
Now, the next car is the Crawley. I'm going to put this car in the S tier.
Now, I know I'm biased, but this is probably the best car in the game, in my opinion at least. I love this car so much. I've had it for ages. You always see me driving this car around. It's like one of the most signature Dando Man cars that I drive around on the 4 Mania servers. It can drive up vertical walls backwards and forwards. That's one of the only things I need to say about it. It's just crazy good. Super fast. When it was released, it's like everyone was like, oh, let's go. There's a monster truck in the game. Let's get this. But little did they know, this car was just so much better than everything in the game.
And finally, the last car in the game is Little Timmy. And I'm putting Little Timmy in the A tier.
Now, I know I'm going to get a few comments saying, why'd you put this in the A tier? It's not that good. But it's the best car in the swamp, probably. I haven't really tested too much cars in the swamp, but this car is so good in the swamp. So good in the desert. It may not be the fastest. It may not have the best handling, but it's just a great car to have because it intimidates opponents. It just doesn't really fall down from any sort of flaw when it comes to heavy off-roading. It's the definition of a heavy off-roader.
Now, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys like my tier list video. It did take a while to edit because I did obviously say at the start of the video, I did have to capture footage of every car, and not every car I actually wanted to get. Obviously, most of the ones at the bottom of the list I didn't really want to get, and obviously all the ones at the top of the list I did want to get. Now, if you do want to take a screenshot of this tier list and send it to your friends or whenever and when you play, feel free to. And also, feel free to comment down below what cars you would switch around with different tiers and what cars you wouldn't. I'm happy for any different types of comments. Obviously, we don't want any, scrubby comments saying that the Hall is an S tier or whatever. I know Augusta Algebra will do that, but yeah, I hope you guys agreed with this tier list because yeah, in my opinion, after the four and a bit years, I've played this since like the start of the game. I've seen every car that's been put into the game. But I've been playing this game for ages, so I hope you guys do take my footage seriously. My videos seriously, because after 28 cars have been put in the game, this is what it looks like, what all the cars look like. Now, if I were to do this video like a few years back, some cars would be different. Some cars just have gotten worse because other cars have been in the game, and so on. So that will bring it to the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in another video very soon, guys. Goodbye.